What's going on, everyone? It is Chris, and welcome back to once again another episode of the Big Brother Podcast with my good friend Gocubs 711.
If someone didn't like what the Vito people were wearing and they just cut them up with a knife, would that be fucked up or what?
So it was like a throwback to an old competition, and they didn't have any of that, so they just take a knife and just cut up those costumes. Oh, Chris
I was
Sale.
standing like 15 feet away from my computer when I said that, by the way.
I figured you're deep in the background. Chris Sale delivered one of the best baseball stories I have ever heard in a long time. In case no one got that reference, please just look it up. It's fantastic. So welcome everyone to the Big Brother Podcast.
Hi.
Very unique week. Pretty not really anything surprising, but there's some unique action that happened, so we'll get right into it. So as we already know, Victor returned to the house, and that was a big deal. And so the obvious thing would be that everyone would want to go after him, but then another target would come up, and it turned out that Frank seemed to be that target. But they needed to get through the head of household competition first. So it was, would you like to explain the HOH competition, which, by the way, had the same setup as the Battle of the Battle
Yes.
Back.
So the name of the competition, I believe, was Watch Your Dubstep.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. So in Survivor Challenge fashion, they had to hold their hands above their heads with something tied to it. If their hands fell in any way, there's stuff falls on them. In Survivor, it's usually water or some shit, but in Big Brother, it's confetti because production value.
These are very very soft house guests. They can't get anything moist on them.
You can't drop apples on them and expect them to be okay.
Right.
But as they were doing that, a line was going back and forth beneath their feet that they had to step over. That probably, if it hit you, would cause you to lower your hand just enough to have the confetti fall on you.
Yeah.
And that challenge took until the sun came up.
Yeah, well, I think what happened was that Victor came very late at night. I would say probably like 11 o'clock their time, maybe.
Yeah.
And they probably started the HOH competition around maybe midnight, 1 a.m. And yeah, probably took...
It still means that it went on for 4 hours, though.
Yeah. Well, no, it went on, according to the TV, when they were doing the bottom, the time lapse, it was 6 hours.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So it went from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning, which is actually around the time when I get up, because at that specific time I get up at 10 a.m. So yeah, they literally went through the entire night doing that HOH competition. And I don't know how anyone could hold their hand up like that for 6 hours.
Eventually, they just stopped doing the
dubstep part.
Yeah,
because I think probably the production got tired, and they just were like, all right, let's just see how long it takes them to put their hands down.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
we had
they got stuck like
one
that.
of the most interesting exchanges of dialogue all season.
Yeah, and that's what really makes me sad that they blocked the head of household competition from us on the feeds, because they probably did a good job editing it, but they essentially... what happened was that it was Devon, Bridget, and James still up on the steps, I guess. And
It's okay.
And basically, Frank needed to start negotiating with someone, and he was like, I'm going to negotiate with Devon to lower her hand and make sure that Bridget's the one that goes home, that gets the HOH, rather. I don't know why I said go home. But, that'd be a plot twist. But he started talking to her, and Frank, how did the exchange really start? Because I forget, was it that he called her out on something that she said prior to the eviction?
I don't totally remember. That's probably what happened.
I think that something along the lines that like Devon wanted. Man, it's gonna be tough to think about it, but essentially Devon said something that apparently Nicole ran back to Frank and told him about.
And then Frank, like, Devon asked who, and she said, and Devon asked Frank who, and then Frank said, if I tell you, will you step off? And she said, I'll think about it. And then Frank told her, and then Devon didn't step off.
Right, and so this was all when they were whispering to each other, like, face to face, and then Paul and Zakiya came over to kind of try to break it up to make sure, nothing bad was happening, and that led to Devon being like, you know what, let's just do this in front of everyone. And Devon tells Nicole that Frank just told Devon that Nicole went to Frank and told him that Devon said the thing to Nicole.
And it's just like all out in front of everybody while these three people are still like holding their hands up because they don't want to fucking give the HOH to either person.
Right.
Bridget and Devon don't want to give it to each other.
Right, essentially. And it basically, it was kind of a moment of the first time that Devon kind of really started to distrust Nicole. But ultimately, James said, look, I'm going to keep you safe, Bridget. And Bridget says, as long as Devon blows her hand with me. And then Devon was like, yeah, because she trusts James, and she trusts James not to put her up on the block.
Yeah.
So then Bridget and Devon take their hand down, and James is the new head of household. And it was a very, very interesting series of events. And so it was kind of tough because James knew that he wanted to target Frank, but the tough part was breaking a promise to Bridget to keep, when he said that he was going to keep her safe. It was tough for him because everyone else wanted Bridget up on the block, but he was in his mind thinking maybe it would be better to put some sort of pawn up on the block. He didn't want to put up Natalie, so he might have put Victor next to Frank or something, but he felt like it was best for his game to put up to put Bridget up on the block and break his promise, very similarly to last season. The wall competition, when he basically was like, when he went to Shelly, and I think Shelly was still on the wall with him, and he was like, I'll keep you and Clay safe, and that was his nominations for the week. So you can never really trust James where he says, I promise you that I won't nominate anyone. But
to James's credit, the entire house wanted Bridget and Frank to get nominated.
Right, and I think it was a better move than last year, because last year it almost ended up leading to his demise. Because it wasn't the majority of people that wanted Chile Clay out.
This season, it was literally everybody except Frank and Bridget that wanted Frank and Bridget nominated.
Right.
So like, going with the house in that case, it's like, yeah, you probably should have done that.
Right, exactly. And so James made a great move, and Frank was more mad that Bridget was on the block than he was being on the block. And so with Frank and Bridget up, they're mad about the whole thing, but I don't know if there was anything big that happened in between then, but essentially the veto players got drawn, and we had Michelle was the first one drawn, then Devon, which Devon is now playing, I believe, her like 5th or 6th veto.
She's played pretty much every veto.
Except for one. There's only one that she hasn't played in, and that was the recipe one where it blew up in your face. That was the only veto I recall that she did not play in. So it's very impressive that she's got a chance to play in the veto every time. And Nicole. So basically no one that Bridget and Frank wanted. Bridget really wanted Natalie to play because Natalie could have taken Bridget down, but it was it unfortunately did not work out for them. So then they got to the veto, and why don't you explain, Gocubs, what the veto was?
So the veto was OTEV, a very common staple in the Big Brother universe, where some sort of odd character, this time a DJ Frog, a dope DJ Frog, um, named OTEV, obviously,
That
like
was so
asked
obnoxious.
him what.
The dope thing was so obnoxious.
That was so annoying. And he used. Okay, can I fucking say something?
Go ahead.
All right, so most of the times DJs use dope, or like people in general use dope as like a way to say, "Oh, this thing is cool," but like he seemed to call the contestants dopes too, and it didn't make any fucking sense. Didn't make any sense. It's like which one to use the least dopey? Well, it's the one who fucking loses, because the one who wins obviously would be the most dope. Like your tracks that you're spinning, you fucking idiot frog.
Oh
So he
God.
basically asked him questions, and it's a form of musical chairs where people have to go down, find the challenge that he like makes a really bad, well, not that bad song. The music part of it actually wasn't that awful, but just get a dope track of what the challenge he was describing was, bring it back up, and the last person in each round gets eliminated.
Yeah, so I always
Fucking
loved
hate that frog.
I love the OTEV usually. I was disappointed maybe because they're just doing it so early that they didn't do it with like the house, like the different house guests.
Yeah.
But whatever. They went the first one. They did. I think it was like the toe one, the toe competition, and James threw it, but then. And Gocubs pointed this out to me. James said he threw it, and then later, after the frog said, "You've been eliminated," James was like, "This is a really disappointing loss for me."
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck? I feel like that's BB production telling him what to say in the diary room.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still, like, why the fuck would you edit it that way?
Yeah.
That was within 3 minutes of each other, too. Less than that, probably.
Well, actually, to be fair, maybe the way that he was menting it, because I think at the time he was talking about Natalie. He was just like, "Oh, this was such a terrible loss. Natalie's gonna have to comfort me," like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe that's how they were trying to interpret it.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know. Stupid.
I've noticed this for like the past few seasons, but James, I don't think he's really good at the diary.
Probably not, dude.
I really like James, but he's just.
Yeah.
I feel like he's always given.
He's got really good charisma when he's around others, but when he's by himself.
Yeah, I think it's because like he's asked to like say certain things in the diary room, and that like he's kind of almost told to like read from a script. So it's even I'll wait till the end to actually say it, but yeah, he's just not very exciting in there. But then after the second round happened, I believe Devon at that point was eliminated. And then the third round, Nicole was eliminated, which left Michelle, Frank,
against Frank and Bridget.
And it was not looking good for Michelle. I think it was actually the second round where she actually like knocked herself out at one point, like on the slide going up. So
she was not in good condition on that slide.
So it was really concerning. Like you didn't know if she was going to be able to pull it out. And so the fourth round happens, and I think Bridget was the first one to get it, and then it was Michelle versus Frank, and Michelle was able to beat Frank up there. So Frank unfortunately lost that, and then it was Bridget versus Michelle, so someone who has proven themselves to have won competitions versus someone that hasn't all played at a lot of competitions. Michelle ends up pulling it out and winning it, and she wins the veto. So that was a big moment in the show thus far, because Michelle hasn't won anything to this point. So good for her. But now we get to the later in the Wednesday episode where we get to see two fights. We have the first of all, Frank is trying to negotiate with Michelle, like, to use the veto on him.
Yes.
And that's, you know what, that's fair. You know, you gotta play this game. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
But Paul was not happy about it. So Paul
was not.
Paul went into the safari room where the Frank was trying to negotiate, and Frank was like, "Can you please give me some space?" And Paul was like, "All right, whatever." And then everyone started piling into the safari room. Frank is like, "What the fuck? Let me get her to use the veto on me, please." Like, he's being honest about it.
Yeah.
And
at that point, you kind of have to be, but
right, but Paul Paul was really just, he was not happy about it at all. After everyone filed out again, Paul went to the bedrooms and he was just like, "I swear to God, I'm gonna call him out. I'm gonna call him out." And then Frank, I guess, is done trying to campaign to Michelle. He goes to the kitchen, and then Paul comes back to the kitchen and starts in with Frank. Paul's like, "What's the end goal, man? What's the end goal? What are you trying to do?" And Frank's like, "I'm trying to save myself in the game." "Well, but you might have said my name, and I don't want to go up there." And Frank's just like, I never actually said your name, my friend. I don't think so. And the whole fight, to be fair, was kind of weird because
it was.
Paul was trying to like get him to be like that, like you're like fighting too hard, you're not gonna get it, like, whole thing. But in a way, it was just the way that he was just coming across about it. It was just kind of more suspicious more than anything. And Frank was like, I'm just doing what I gotta do to stay in this house.
Yeah.
Type thing. So that whole thing was weird. But then you got another confrontation, and this was a continuing storyline that us live feeders have seen. But Michelle has had a massive problem with Bridget, and one thing that they did not actually show on the show, because I didn't really think it was important to bring it up here, but I guess now it is. Early on, Bridget made a comment that was actually targeted at Tiffany, that she would shave her eyebrows off, essentially.
What?
Yeah, something like that. I think the conversation had something to do with Michelle passing out during one of the roadkill competitions, and then leading into Tiffany, something about Tiffany, and then her shaving the eyebrows off. But the comment, it was heard by Zakiya, and Zakiya misinterpreted it, went to Michelle, and said that Bridget said that while you were passed out, she would shave off your eyebrows. So that is where Michelle's hatred of Bridget was built, and she's never liked her since. And then there was another part of the hatred that came up, which that she was very fucking jealous of Bridget being so aligned with Frank. So Bridget was trying to bend bridges, trying to rebuild them, and Michelle was like, no, I have no, like, I don't know what bridges we need to build. I mean, I've never been mean to you and stuff, and it makes me sad that you've gone along with Frank and I'm not involved in that. And it was one of those moments that you're like, really, Michelle? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I get, like, maybe there people might argue, you know, like, Bridget, I mean, she chose her side. There's no reason why, you know, they have to be nice to each other or not. But when you are locked in the house, you do want to try to mend fences with people, and especially if you want them to use the veto on you. So I don't necessarily blame. I don't blame Bridget for what she was trying to do, and I think that Michelle was kind of just being weird about the whole thing. So I don't know. That's just me. That's at least my view of it. But the whole fight was very interesting. So we get to the veto ceremony, and it was obvious what Michelle was going to do. She was not going to get remove Frank from the block. Although she was thinking about it, she was thinking that maybe removing Frank from the block was to maybe get James to put a pawn up and get Bridget out.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out. Frank and Bridget are the nominees for this week. So then we get to Thursday's episode. And Michelle kind of goes off a little bit about Bridget, saying like she came in here and went into the bathroom and courted me, and was like just like calling me out, and I really was thinking about using the veto on Frank. And then Bridget and Frank were basically like, Frank was like, I don't have any reason to campaign against you. And Bridget kind of went into the diary room and admitted that she doesn't really have a lot of friends in the outside world, not like super close friends, and she was surprised that she got such a close friend in Frank. So that was a very sweet moment. But then Michelle was like, I feel kind of bad that Frank will probably be going home this week. And she starts crying in front of Frank and like cries to him, and like really, like she's really hysterical in the storage room. And Frank's like, if you're so upset about it,
use the veto on me.
Right, if you're so upset, use the veto on me, save me. And Devon basically was like, Devon was basically saying, and this is true, that Michelle was a huge fan of Frank's during Big Brother 14, and that back then he was an underdog. It was fun to root for him. Now he's the target that we're trying to get out. You have to push.
You gotta
that
separate
aside.
your former feelings from the actual fucking game that you're playing, because you're a Big Brother contestant now too, you idiot. Not just a fan.
Right, exactly. And so and like meanwhile, like Michelle's just crying, like I just want to spend time with you in the jury house. Like it's just like you are absolutely hysterical. So I don't know what she was going on about.
Oh my god.
But then Frank was basically like, yeah, it's gonna really take a miracle to save me. Then that miracle kind of comes. We get to see all of a sudden on the screen that there are secrets all around. James and Natalie are the first to notice it. And just like how very smart it is to get everyone around to see that there's a secret in the house instead of trying to hide it, they do just that. And Frank immediately goes on the hunt, and it's followed by everyone. Everyone's scattered around the house trying to find something, and then Paul starts to be the one that really starts to pick up on the clues. He sees that on the posters there are green words that kind of connect. And he's like, alright, I have secret destination departing now. And then he goes to the departure board, and he sees next to Paris, it says now departing, twice. And he's just like, alright, so maybe that's what I gotta do. Maybe I gotta call Paris. And he goes up to the phone booth that was next to the HOH room, which I actually did not realize existed until this episode. And then Paul essentially called Paris by typing in the numbers that correspond with the letters, and on the other end it says, congratulations, you found the room, the secret room. If you want to gain access to the rooms after hanging up, 5 seconds will go by and you'll be able to open the door. If not, then as soon as this phone call ends, back out of the phone booth and make sure the coast is clear. So he backs out, and meanwhile everyone's like kind of crowding around trying to see what Paul's doing and what everyone else is doing, and Paul is trying to play it off like, oh no, it's not here. Meanwhile, he's trying to get James and Corey to get Frank and Bridget as far away from the phone booth as possible. Meanwhile, everyone else is noticing that the plane that's on the sky deck has call Paris in its plane windows. Everyone is really starting to connect the dots, and Paul finally gets back to the phone booth, calls again, listens to the message again, and opens the hatch and gets into the red tunnel that's in there. It was very fun to watch on feeds because no one knew what the hell was happening.
Paul just like went into a phone booth
Yeah,
and then
he went into the phone booth and then like escaped through a hatch, and like Devon and Natalie were just standing there. They were like, "Oh, all right,
yeah.
bye, Paul." He's left the building. So they get into the red room, which I'm assuming is the room where like the second HOH was during the Battle of the Block time, and it's turned into Paris. Paris has arrived in the Big Brother house. It's been hiding away from the house guests for so long, and please explain the twist, Go Cubs.
So the twist inside of Paris, there are a bunch of fucking envelopes, and inside the envelopes there are round trip tickets. For the round trip tickets, they need to. They each get to pick one. Anyone who finds that room gets to pick one ticket, and then if they get voted out, Julie and they have a ticket, Julie will open their ticket live to the house guests, and if it's a round trip ticket, they go right back inside.
Yeah, so
everybody found Paris.
Yeah, basically at some point everyone found Paris, including Frank and Bridget. So this is going to make the next 4 evictions very interesting to see if a round ticket will actually end up popping up after the 4th eviction. If none of them pop up, they all expire. And if no one actually ends up using it, it'll be interesting to see who actually got the round trip ticket. I hope they actually reveal that if it doesn't actually happen. But yeah, we get to the and before the eviction, they also had interviews with Jason, Meg, Boogie, and Hayden. Basically, the main alliances of the 4 vets that are now in the house, and a lot of them were like, "Yeah, they're playing really shitty games." It was really funny to watch because, like, Meg, Jason, and Hayden were a lot nicer about it. They're like, yeah, they're doing well here, but I would avoid doing this. Boogie was just like, Frank's fucking awful. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to the eviction, and Frank essentially tells Bridget that it was so nice getting to meet her, and he looks forward to meeting her outside the house. Turns to everyone else, it's like, I hate you guys, don't want to talk to you anymore, and he sits down. Bridget gives a nice speech, and then with a vote of 9-0, my winner, Frank, is out of here.
Dun 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 dun.
So Frank is gone, but there's still one more piece of business, and that is the tickets. Will he have a round trip ticket? No, he didn't. He didn't have a round trip ticket. He had a one-way ticket out of the Big Brother house, and it was unfortunate for him, but he might have deserved it from all the overplaying and kind of being a dick at times to the women in the house. So it happens.
Yep.
Frank is out, and that means Bridget's all alone, and now we enter the HOH competition, where they all have to... Go ahead, you could explain the HOH competition.
Alright, so the HOH competition. They take it... They have to roll a ball along a very windy board, and the goal is to get it into this box at the end. They have a yellow ball and a red ball. They can practice as many times as they want with the yellow ball, but as soon as they throw the red ball, that's it. They're done. That red ball is their score.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see a lot of progress, except during the credits, we saw that Paulie did roll his red ball, and he scored a 6. So that was the last thing that we saw in the credits. In a second, we are going to reveal who won HOH to go along with our predictions, so we will put a spoiler up in a second here. But I do want to point out one last thing that was announced during the Thursday show, and that is America's Care Package. So yes. We're playing Hunger Games now. So the first care package, or I should say, America gets to vote for a house guest to get a care package. It happens once every week, and each care package will contain something that will help them in the game. The first care package for this week was a Never Not Pass. The voting's already over for this week. They actually already revealed on the feeds who got it. But essentially, the main thing is that uh, they already revealed every single week what the actual thing in the care package is going to be.
Which is so stupid.
Yeah.
That totally gets rid of the but you gotta be careful because each house gets to only get it once. But then you just fucking vote how you want them to do that week, without being like, oh, I really want Paul to get stuff, but then oh shit, I can't give this better thing to Paul. I'll be like, okay, I'll wait out and give this better thing to Paul, and then vote for fucking Natalie or something now.
Yeah, the concept would have been a lot better if they kept the
it was
secret. Secret. And if America was just not involved. But that's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
I will say right now, since it's not a spoiler, it's up on the CBS website. Over the course of the weeks, the Never Not Pass was for this week. The next week is going to be that the House can eliminate 2 eviction votes.
Which this early on might not be that big of a deal.
Right, yeah, and especially if it's someone in the minority. If they eliminate 2 eviction votes, there might still be like 3 more that could get the majority or something like that. So, yeah. I don't see it being too big of an impact. Super safety, which means they can be safe for the week. They just have to wear a costume. Again, not terrible, but it would add an interesting dynamic if someone is actually safe.
Who was the target?
Who was the target. I think that could actually cause a lot of chaos. So that I'm actually personally excited about. Then we get the return of the roadkill, number 4. But essentially, it's like the MVP, where the person gets voted in by America, and that
the winner is Alyssa.
She's not even playing because she gets it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's essentially like the MVP again. I mean, if it's someone I'm expecting from America, if I'm thinking from their minds, they usually try to pick someone that's an underdog. So if they pick an underdog and they put someone up that's a big target, that's a big target, but that not many people may be targeting at the moment, it could be interesting to see how people are like, wait a minute, this guy is on the block. We might not be able to get him get him or her off the block again, but.
Hate America influencing the game.
Yeah, but that
America sucks, and most of the people who watch Big Brother suck. Let them fucking play the game.
Right, exactly.
The Never Not Pass is fine.
Yeah.
The weird costume thing, maybe without the safety, is fine, but there's too much power that America is having right now.
Right. At least for now, though, it's only going to be for like the 5 weeks, and then the end game will not be affected by America. At least we hope not. But yes, I agree. I don't really love American influence at all in it. The last week is the 5 that America can bribe someone $5,000 if they would complete a certain test that America chooses. This kind of reminds us of America's team. Where each task they completed, they got $1,000.
Yeah, see, most of those I wasn't like against.
Right. So
most of the Team America stuff I wasn't against because it didn't affect the game.
So they got it. They did like 2 out of the 5 right, essentially. Out of the 5 twists, they got the almost the majority of it. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I would like to wait and see how it plays out. Because maybe it will add something interesting to the game. Because let's face it, if with Frank out of the game, this might start getting boring this season. Because now everyone's kind of already aligned with each other. So now it's gonna be like, oh, all these people against one person, and then all these people against one person, and it kind of gets boring at that point. This could add an interesting dynamic and really split the house. But that's just me. It could also be a turmoil fucking ruins the season type aspect, but I don't want to speculate until we actually get to that point, which actually brings up something else that I wanted to talk about. So far, you and I, Gocubs, have had an opinion about the season that we've actually enjoyed the season to this point.
I've enjoyed the season.
Everyone fucking hates it.
Why?
I think it's a lot of it is because that there's a lot of people that kind of are like bullies in the house or kind of exclude people in the house. There may be too many showmances, but I have something to say about that.
Okay.
That's been Big Brother For like how many seasons? There have always been bullies in the house. There have always been showmances in this game.
Yes.
Especially, yes, the showmances can be annoying, but when there are multiple, that could actually add something interesting. The showmances versus showmances, they will turn on each other. I guarantee you that.
We have had showmances, like, last season we had a showmance that, like, practically dominated the game.
Right.
With Austin and Liz.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But it happens every year. Why is it always a shock to people? Why is it that a showman's happens
They even
in a
fucking
game?
talk about it in Jeff's interview.
Exactly.
That's one of the main conversation points.
It always
It's the
happens.
second most common thing that Jeff asked them, other than would you rather win and be hated or lose and be loved?
Right, exactly.
Fuck you. Fuck the Big Brother fan.
It's like, it is amazing to me, and I understand, I completely understand when people get frustrated about the showmances, maybe that they are overly controlled in the game, but they always end up looking like threats at some point. I think the last time a showmance has actually won in the game was Big Brother 13 with Rachel, but that was because she went in there with a showmance already. Those were partners way ahead of time. When she was a showmance the season before that, she was out in 5th place. Or actually, I'm sorry, she was out 5th out of everyone. Yeah. So, to me, the whole thing that people are sick of the bullies or sick of the showmances...
Hey, guess what? Last season there was Austin, who was in a showmance and was a bully.
I mean... this is what the show is, and people for some reason that they can't get through their head. Yes, what I do hate is when there's some racial comments that are made. Yes, what
Those
I do
are
hate
fucking dumb.
When there is like someone is sexually assault or like does some sort of like assaulting or like kind of demeaning thing to someone.
Yeah, obviously.
But bullying happens in the game, and people have to realize when they go in that house that they're not going to be shielded from that bullying. They're going to have to face that, and they're going to have to take that. You absolutely feel bad for someone that if someone goes after them and they and like kind of rips into them, yeah, you feel bad if they don't fight back and then they start crying because they just can't they can't take it, but at the same time they need to be prepared for it down the line. It just, to me, it just frustrates me when I see people getting so up and angry with like pitchforks and like torches about the whole thing, where one of the favorite house guests of all time was a man named Evil Dick. Like, what the fuck? It's like, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. And then what's even more is that people constantly they complain, they hated it, they hate the cast. First of all, it's fun to hate the cast because in that point you don't root for anyone, you just enjoy the gameplay. That's number one. Number two, why the fuck are you watching the show? You can turn it off. There's so many other shows out. You can have there's so many other things that you could be watching, that you could be doing. Big Brother is not that great of a show. You can move on. It's amazing to me that people continue to just complain about the show. Oh, I used to love the show. I used to care about the show. Then move the hell on. This is not the show that you grew up loving. It has changed. They have a new formula. In fact, I think the formula has just been the same, but they just, I don't know, there's something about it right now.
Slightly different than how it was.
Right, whatever it may be.
So it's new and scary to them.
You can't do anything about it except for turning off the TV and unsubscribing for the live feeds. Then they will listen. Then they will look at their ratings dipping. They will see that not a lot of people are subscribed to the live feeds, and then they will change. Whether it be by canceling the show or by changing it for the next season. But until you do that, stop fucking complaining about the show and move the fuck on. So, that's where I'm at.
It's like sitting in a pile of shit and then complaining that it smells.
It really is. You
didn't have to sit in that pile of shit. No one made you sit in that pile of shit.
Exactly.
So why are you complaining that it smells? Why are you complaining that your kids are getting fat if you keep buying them McDonald's?
Oh my god.
They don't have their own source of income. Someone's got to buy it for them.
Oh my god. I cannot, like, it's just, I get very frustrated with Big Brother 2. Don't get me wrong, but
no, I do. But it's a type of frustration that I enjoy.
exactly.
I enjoy being frustrated about things because I know that it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And it's not going to happen all year round. Don't bring that up. Don't bring it up when I know you're going to bring it up.
Well, I was just saying, think about all the things that might be happening in the outside world. They don't have to deal with it. They don't have to deal with the outside world. They're stuck in a luxurious house.
Yeah.
Playing a game that people would kill to be part of. They would love to be a part of Big Brother, and all people do is just complain about the show. Move on. It's not. It doesn't matter. It's amazing. It just amazes me.
You want to? All right. Here's. I'm gonna level with these guys. All right. So if you're fucking complaining about Big Brother and that shit, I'm gonna level with you. Do you want a show about houses that every episode is the same? Go watch anything on HGTV. I guarantee you that nothing will change, and you can be in your fucking bubble comfort zone. What the fuck ever. Change happens. Fucking deal with it.
Fucking watch it. Oh my god! All right, let's move on. I'm getting too heated.
Please.
Right now. All right.
I think we spent like 10 minutes on that.
That needed to be said. It needed to be said. All right. So my winner, the winner that I'm going to change to, I feel like this person is in the best position in the game, that they will not be targeted going down the line, that they're going to keep themselves safe for the most part, that there's bigger threats in the game more than them. I'm going to pick Paul.
Paul, all right.
Paul is going to be the guy that I choose.
I was actually thinking about choosing him if James went down.
Yeah, I would say that right now, I would say the two people with the safest positions in the game right now are the two Pauls, Paulie and Paul.
I can agree with that.
I think they are the two safest in the game at the moment, and I would actually add James into that. James, Paulie, and Paul, I would say, are the three names that I do not hear a lot about. In the beginning, Paul was definitely, but that kind of died down with all the bigger threats happening. So that's where I'm at. So let's do our predictions.
All right. Spoiler warning, this is who won HOH.
Oh, yes. So
Chris, who won HOH.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear it, don't listen anymore. Paul won HOH this past week, so you'll see that on Sunday. So Paul won HOH. What is your predictions for the week ahead?
Paul is going to nominate Bridget and Corey. Corey's going to win the veto and take himself off, and Natalie's going to go up in his place. Bridget's going to get evicted, and then Michelle is going to win the next HOH.
Yep. All right, sounds good. And then for me, I have to scroll up here. So Paul nominates Bridget and Nicole, and I'm sorry, Bridget and Michelle. I'm sorry about that. Bridget and Michelle. Power veto winner is Bridget. Nicole goes up, and then Nicole goes home. That's my predictions.
And then who wins the next HOH?
Oh, and the next HOH, I forgot who I said.
Bridget.
Bridget. I said Bridget would win because she's suddenly just this epic comp beast. Even like she has won past competition, so who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our podcast. That was an angry podcast.
I don't understand what just happened.
But I mean, do you agree with me, or is it like maybe?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, because I don't want to be like loud about this, and then maybe I'm not right about some things. I just feel like if you're not doing something that if you're not happy about something, and you can't really control it.
You're also not entitled for them to make the show how you want it to be.
Exactly.
Like, there's a weird sense of entitlement there.
Absolutely. And what is, I mean, there is some things that, like, have, again, that I'm not saying that you can't be frustrated about some things, but...
Hell, I'm frustrated about all the America stuff. But...
Right. But you can't, if you are so sick and tired of the show, you have to just move on and stop going on Twitter and trying to get attention on yourself. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, that's
writing open letters on Facebook.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, anyways,
an open letter to open letters. Shut the fuck up. Just say what you mean.
Right,
Say
exactly.
it from you.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed and learned a few things.
You want to fucking feel better about yourself?
Yeah.
You want to feel better about yourself?
Yeah.
Go watch How I Met Your Mother on Netflix. That's my recommendation.
I feel like that's like the third time you've recommended How I Met Your Mother.
I don't think I've done How I Met Your Mother before.
Really? All right.
I've done BoJack Horseman and Zootopia and Scrubs a lot, but
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
I'll give another one. Arrested Development. There, go.
All right. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Eat a dick.